Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Don Joe number 1445. Satin Chrome Combo Pack Floor Stop is what it is. The Combo Pack is nice for certain clients when they're going to a job and they know they need to put in floor stops or dome stops. And, they'll come in and they'll say, okay, I need some floor stops. Great, you want the short ones or the tall ones? I have no idea. Give me floor stops. Okay. You want the short ones or the tall ones? Or do you want the combo pack, which does admittedly cost more because you're automatically getting the riser included. But, what's the time worth when you have to put in, 5 stops? And, you might say, give me, you've got 60 to do. Give me, I got carpet here, I got hardwood here, give me some of these, and some of those. Whatever the case is, I'll return what I don't use kind of concept. So that's the dome stop or the floor stop. You can certainly see why we would call it a dome stop. Okay, this automatically includes the riser. Fits in really, fits in nice. Yeah. Okay. So it's going to look obviously like that. Now, some dimensional properties. We'll just touch on that, then we will get to the supporting documentation. Diameter of the unit does not appear to be round necessarily. About an inch and, just heavy, an inch and 3/4. Yeah, it's definitely not completely round. It's a bit oval. The height of the lip is only about 3/16. The overall height, holding it upside down, is 1 inch. The riser is going to add 3/8 to that. Okay, that diameter. Well, it's gonna work compatibly with this. There's one way it goes together nicer than the other way. Got that depressed area there. I would say that would be the leading edge area. Kind of nests together a little bit cleaner that way naturally. It's going to include anchors. You're going to get a wood screw. You're going to get a plastic anchor, then a machine screw with a lead expansion anchor. Obviously wood, concrete, whatever you're going into. If you can use the machine screw and the lead anchor, I would encourage that. A much more durable method of installation. Obviously, if it's a wood floor with a wood subfloor, I'd be using the wood screw naturally. It's probably a number 12. Looks a little bit long, maybe 1.5 inches, 1 3/4. Yeah, almost 1.5 inches. Probably a number 12. Now, this is available in different finishes. And those different finishes are going to be 605 for polished brass, 612 for satin bronze, 613 for oil rubbed bronze, 625 for polished chrome, 626 for satin chrome. Those finishes mean that this is all brass base material. It's weird. It has a very slight magnetic property to it, and I don't know why. This is cast brass. Well, we're obviously picking up the steel post that's in there. But it feels like it's very slightly magnetic. And I don't know why. Maybe it's the plating. Maybe there's a minor amount of magnetism in the plating. So anyway, let's switch to the screen view where we can take a look at the supporting documentation. Okay, so here's the item that we are looking at. It's dome stop with a riser. Extended description information, which we've basically covered. The 1440 and 1446 combo pack, that's going to be a reference to 1440 by Don Joe is going to be the dome stop only. The 1446, that's certainly going to be the riser only. Indeed, that's the riser only that we have in the 1446. By the time you're looking at this video, we'll have links to that material. Wood screw, machine screw, and expansion shield and plastic anchor are included. These are the finishes that are, the combination unit is available. And the 1440 is actually available in other finishes as well. Let's take a look at that. Other finishes would be satin brass, antique brass, satin nickel, antique nickel. So yeah, you can do additional finishes. They obviously don't have those risers available. A couple of supporting documents. Let's look at the template. Okay, the dimensional properties of everything that we've gone over. Pretty much everything. We had 3/8 here, and then 3/16 here. It was a little light on 3/16. So, you're dealing with, about 90 thousandths here. Maybe 3/32 would be a better dimension for that. Then we have the product catalog, and that's handy because it will allow us to review all things doorstop related from Don Joe. As we do a find function on our keyboard for 1445, we're immediately going to get to the page where we can see it. All of its sister products as well. 1442, so this is the argument. You want the short one or the tall one? Okay? And then sometimes the guy will say, give me the other one. Maybe they mean this one, but this one doesn't go back that many years, maybe 10 or 20. Risers have always been around. The catalog is handy because you will be able to go through, obviously, all things doorstop related from Don Joe. That 1400 is a model that I'm partial to. That's a 1-inch diameter wall-mounted floor stop, and it's super handy because it allows you to stop the door and do so in such a way that's really not very conspicuous. It's so small, and yet it's very capable at stopping a door. If you have a cabinet door with a knob on it that opens up into a drywall wall, you might elegantly use that. The garden variety material, the 1406, the 1407, heavy duty material, that's surface mounted, a much larger diameter, 3 7/8. Adhesive mounted, if you're a landlord and just looking for inexpensive ways to keep knobs from hitting drywall, there's a good option. Floor mounted material, as we talked about earlier, very heavy duty versions. Heavy duty because of where the mounting points are and how they spread that out. Door stops and holders, both floor and baseboard mounted. This angle stop is very common. A lot of restaurants like these on certain doors because they're incredibly durable, as are these solid brass versions as well. If you want to get really heavy duty, you can sink that down into your concrete and then pour around it and then screw this to that. You're going to want to accommodate running screws into it, though, for that base that is going to go into. Gooseneck style, you can see why we would call it a gooseneck. Roller bumpers. If you have door conditions that are like this, you'll see these in hotels all the time, homes. The home that I grew up in had a bathroom door and then a closet door, and sure enough, the edge of that door was constantly getting damaged until my hardware salesman father installed the curved roller bumper, which looked dreadful, but it's to my mom, but it solved the problem. A dreadful looking curved roller bumper is a lot less expensive than an 1 3/4 hollow core stained birch door that is going to take a month of Sundays to get. Heavy duty style that are literally poured in concrete. Those are grouted in. Kick down door holders, of course, don't use those on fire rated doors ever because they're not permissible and they're replacement bumpers. And on and on and on. More variations on this material. Automatic holders. These are very common, obviously, again, on non-fire rated doors. The part number changes only when your clearance changes because the height of the strike is what changes to accommodate very tall undercuts. Residential style, baseboard spring style. hinge pin style. The 1502 is a very common hinge pin style stop, etc. Bumpers for steel frames, wood frames, and then adhesive mount for, whatever you like, cabinet doors. Angle stops are nice when you have doors that are on center hung pivots and there is no stop, so you need to have hardware do the stopping of the door on the jamb. Back to the item we're talking about. This is the link to the manufacturer's page. And if you know the name Danjo at all, you do because of, likely, wraparound plates and latch protectors. But, as you can see from not only all of the Danjo products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog, which then breaks down into all of these subsections of the full catalog. They make a lot more than just latch protectors and wraparound plates. So I would encourage you to review that material. One product category worthy of mention immediately is their strike plates. They get into a lot of security strikes and extended lip strikes where you have an inset condition, or you have a wall condition or a trim condition where you need the lip of that strike to come out a little bit further. Let's finish up this video on camera. In conclusion, the name Danjo is synonymous with very good quality pieces of trim and auxiliary hardware in addition to those core lines that we discussed earlier. I'm partial to Danjo for some unique reasons. They are a standalone company that's not owned by a multinational, multi-billion-dollar corporation. Not that that's a good thing or a bad thing. I can tell you there are instances when that is a really great thing, no doubt. In the realm of high-security cylinders under ASSA ABLOY, absolutely there is a sharing of technologies between those sister companies. ASSA and ABLOY, two very European countries in the sense of they're from Europe, Scandinavia, in fact. Under ASSA ABLOY, and ASSA and ABLOY, speaking of high-security cylinders, have their own platform of high-security cylinders. The ABLOY is a very unique cylinder that it has rotating wafers and a highly unusual key that, based on how the key is cut to the angle and the depth, it will rotate these washers or discs or wafers, and when they're all aligned properly, the locking bar will fit into the gates, allowing the lock to turn. Very, very fascinating. I actually have one here. ASSA is a side bar, side pin sort of construction, not unique to ASSA. And I don't know the patent, I don't recall the patent history of the ASSA cylinder. The point of the matter is you've got these two companies that have been around for decades, 100 years. Under that ASSA ABLOY umbrella is someone like Medico, like Sargent, like Corbin Russwin, like Yale. Especially with Medico, I believe that there's a sharing of technology, especially with Sargent, with that KISO technology that they have. So in that regard, I think it's a great thing. There's also something about calling a company who is a standalone company, and when you call them and they pick the phone up, they're just hardware people. Certainly the people at ASSA ABLOY are hardware people. But if you're going to be sentimental for the old times, sometimes that I'm guilty of being, you just want to talk to just hardware people. And I do get that impression solidly every time that I speak to Danjo. And I do ASSA ABLOY properties as well, especially Rockwood. They were a great company, but in this case, Rockwood, Danjo has a more, I want to navigate what I say accurately. Danjo is a company that I'm sentimental to because of how many generations of my family have been working with Danjo. In the very rare instance that they make a mistake, they make it good almost immediately. So they're really good in that regard. Good quality material. I wouldn't hesitate to use it, and I wouldn't hesitate to suggest that you use it. Those catalogs are there. Take a look at what they've got. A relatively petite footprint in an industry of every company has every other piece. But Danjo has a simple and straightforward catalog. Any questions on the 1445 and a 626 combo pack floor stop or any other Danjo product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.